Today's review, Macross 2 Lovers Again. Subscribe for daily spoiler-free anime reviews covering series on Fridays and movies or OVAs the rest of the week. Macross 2 Lovers Again is the black sheep of the franchise for being its only non-canon entry. It was intended to be the direct sequel to the original anime when its creator Shoji Kawamori wasn't interested in making sequels, so instead it was directed by Kenichi Atagai, director of Megazone 23. But of course we all know how that went, considering Shoji returned to create Macross Plus 2 years after Macross 2 was released, giving it a short lifespan. The story follows Hibiki, a news reporter who will stop at nothing to break the hottest news with little concern for the truth. Or maybe he's serious about telling the truth, I don't know. If he doesn't know, then why should I? He seriously flip-flops numerous times on his journalistic integrity. One minute he's intentionally trying to release half-truths, the next he's trying to fight for freedom of the press and honesty. Not that any of it matters, because the government controls the news and only airs propaganda. I can appreciate their attempt to do something a little different by featuring a non-combatant protagonist and how they managed to keep the war from feeling distant as a result. It's just that Hibiki isn't an interesting character. Macross 2 is a pretty serious story, and they made their single comedic relief character the protagonist. Additionally, he comes off as a bit of a creep considering how he constantly tries to record everything. Speaking of which, he abducts Ishtar from the Zentradi spaceship, brings her back to his apartment, changes her into some skimpy clothes without explaining why he even has them, then proceeds to record videos of her while she sleeps. Although the act alone is bad enough, Ishtar is going through the traumatic experience of living on Earth for the first time against her will. She even experiences a bit of PTSD at the sound of love songs, and rightfully so, considering they're the secret weapon used against the Zentradi in combat. Like the humans, in Macross 2 the Zentradi also have their own idols. However, instead of singing love songs inhibiting their opponents from attacking, the Zentradi songs are more like Klingon opera, inspiring them to fight as hard as possible, and Ishtar was one of their idols. If you remember, in the original Macross, music was a foreign concept to the Zentradi. In Macross 2, they've been brainwashed by another alien race and used as tools of war, which kinda undermines everything so many people fought and died for in the original Macross anime. They also tried this love triangle that didn't really work. In the first half, Hibiki and Ishtar went on a few dates. Still, it wasn't romantic in the least, considering she was just interested in learning about culture and Hibiki had ulterior motives of getting a story out of her. Plus, I've already mentioned how creepy he was. There's also Gina, Hibiki's other potential love interest. I guess she was an alright character, but I think everyone wanted the multicolor-haired strippers from space at this point, and Gina came off as bland by comparison. Character development felt contrived because they experienced personality changes at breakneck speeds, like Hibiki becoming a serious reporter all of a sudden when some random dude died. Speaking of contrived, Hibiki and this other reporter fly into space in a two-seat jet, and the guy gets out and puts Ishtar in his seat. What did they expect would happen? He can't hold onto the wing and fly back to Earth, though I guess that would make him the ultimate wingman, considering he'd sacrifice his life to score Hibiki a date with a sexy space stripper. Additionally, Gina randomly decides to fall in love with a guy she hates the most in the world. It's not like she's some tsundere archetype or anything. Hibiki gave her many legitimate reasons to hate him. It's honestly such a shame because I came into Macross 2 expecting to like it considering its beautiful visuals. Characters look terrific, and they even did this fantasy aesthetic with some of the characters, making them feel like they were torn straight out of a JRPG. Well, maybe not Ultimate Warrior over here, but I thought the rest of the alien race looked nice, or maybe I'm just a pervert. The battles were exactly what you'd expect from Macross, with countless lasers and rockets flying around, massive explosions, and people getting crushed inside their cockpits. It's honestly saddening to see how much effort went into this OVA for it to become obsolete within 2 years. I also enjoyed seeing the Zentradi invade Earth. However, it created the appearance that all of the world's wonders existed within the same city, considering their goal was to retrieve Ishtar and their ability to track her from space. Speaking of Earth as a setting, this is supposedly set 80 years after the original anime. Still, their civilization is far too advanced, and that would also mean they exist in the same period as the children and grandchildren of the characters from the original anime, yet it feels incredibly distant. The truth is that Macross 2 was initially set 300 years after the original, but was changed to 80 to be closer to recent Macross video games. I know some love Macross 2 for being their first anime, and I can understand that. It has all of the building blocks for a mind-blowing first-time experience, but it's not a great Macross anime. They incorporate too many plot points without the ability to flesh any of them out, and they basically disregard Macross lore for the sake of making money. I wanted to find a way to recommend this anime so new audiences can experience the hard work of its animators. However, it's too plot-heavy and not engaging enough to warrant sitting through to experience the epic battles at the end, especially considering Macross Do You Remember Love and Macross Plus are generally all-around better experiences. I give Macross 2 Lovers Again a 6.5 out of 10. There's little reason to watch this anime outside of nostalgia, or if you've already seen every other retro Macross anime and want to experience new space battles with that incredible retro aesthetic. I don't consider sixes to be bad anime, just anime that have fewer reasons to like them and are mostly suited for die-hard fans of certain niches. For example, fans of cel-animated mech battles, I think they'd have a good time, but the story made the viewing experience more arduous than it needed to be, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on Macross 2? Like the video if you enjoyed it. Thanks to Nia-chan and all monthly supporters on Patreon and YouTube for making these videos possible. I'll see you tomorrow with Macross 0.